The Meg. I don't even know how to intro this video. The Meg is the latest shark action movie. It follows the events of a prehistoric shark that makes its way into the ocean where it just attacks everything. These people, while trying to find the bottom of the ocean, accidentally come across this shark, and then they find it their mission to destroy this shark, to kill this shark, to murder this shark, because this shark will murder all of us. It stars Jason Statham, who we haven't really seen a lot lately, at least not in the blockbuster scene. And so it's great that he's coming back if you're a fan of his. I mean, I like Crank and I like The Expendables, so he's fine. But this movie is not that good at all. So let me start off first with what I like about this movie before I just start to describe what did not work at all for anyone. This movie has moments where it's really fun. It really is. There's one very specific image at the end with Jason Statham fighting the shark. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but it is so much fun. And if you like a good shark movie, this is gonna have those moments that you're looking for. Rainn in this movie is really funny. I found him a lot of fun to watch. He kind of plays this billionaire who's funding this whole project, and now he finds himself responsible for this mess. And I will say, for the first like 20 minutes or so, the introduction of this movie, I was very curious what was going to happen. It piqued my interest. Outside of that, this movie was tough to watch, to say the least. So here's where I think they went wrong. It took them about an hour to even realize what kind of movie they were making. Because there's a genre for a movie like this. We have Piranha 3D, Sharknado 6 just came out, I'm pretty sure. And when the movie acknowledged that it was being that type of movie, it was a fun watch. Problem is, it took up until the last 15 minutes of the movie for it to even be that. The movie starts off, the first act, about 20 minutes or so, and it's trying to be this serious movie. And it wasn't great. The dialogue was terrible, but it actually worked in a way for me. They introduced why this shark exists, why it's coming up now, and I think the character motivation specifically and their backgrounds really worked well. They did a great job with their introductions, bringing everyone together, and now we know the task that they have. But then you have the middle hour of the movie, and it's just this combination of trying to be serious, trying to be the next Jaws movie, trying to be like a Moby Dick type story, and it's none of that. And like I said, fast forward to the end, the last 20-15 minutes or so, it's fun. And the last few scenes make you think like, maybe that was a funny movie and I just missed it all. But I honestly really doubt it, and it's not worth a rewatch to try to see if it was funny the whole time. Here's an example of what not to do in a movie like this. I feel like the writers wanted to get to a certain place, and so they wrote it in a way that didn't even make sense, but they didn't even care. For example, very minor spoiler, but I don't think you'll care. There's one part where the boat is on fire and everyone has to jump off of it, but the way that they caught the boat on fire was because 2 helicopters were flying above the boat and just happened to crash. It had nothing to do with them fighting the shark at all. It was just a random freak accident. And honestly, I think it was just because they wanted to light the boat on fire. It had nothing to do with the main characters fighting the shark, and I honestly think it was just because the writers wanted the boat to be on fire. And this movie is full of moments like that. Characters just making terrible decisions that don't make sense, except to cause tension. Like, let's say a character is hanging off the edge of a boat, like joking around, like, I'm gonna fall off, and most people would never act like that. But for the sake of this movie, the writers needed that character to get in the water, so they had to create a reason for him to be by the edge of the boat. And it just doesn't work. They then take one character, which I'm not gonna mention who, again, for spoilers in case you want to watch this movie, but they kill this person off and create this person to be a villain, even though they weren't a villain the whole movie. Literally, this person is good the entire movie. Within 5 minutes, they do kind of a bad thing, and they kill them off expecting us to be like on board, like, yes, we got the villain. But the character arc was so inconsistent, and it didn't make sense for them to be the villain. The writers literally wanted to kill this person, so they tried to make them evil, but they didn't even make them that evil. Along with what I said earlier about just terrible dialogue throughout this movie, it's a tough watch. Now Jason Statham, I do enjoy. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Expendables movies, but what I think those movies got right is they realized that they're the joke. It's a bunch of cheesy action scenes with cheesy one-liners, but that's what you go to see in this movie. If the Meg would have been very intentional on that, maybe this would have worked. Instead, you have a bunch of one-liners that are just in the middle, where they're not serious and they're not cheesy. It's just this awkward middle ground. I'm just not sure if there's many films that can do both very well. I think you need to commit to one side. And yet, in me saying all this right now, This movie is making so much money, specifically overseas in China, because this movie is targeted to that audience. There's a lot of Asian actors in this movie, and the movie does take place off the coast there. And so I do wonder if that was intentional. Like, maybe this wasn't targeted to be an American movie, because despite how much I don't like it, it's making so much money over there. Unfortunately, this is one of the movies I have probably most disliked this summer, but maybe you liked it. If you are into cheesy dialogue and pretty cool action scenes and set pieces, you could enjoy this movie. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if this is your genre, then go for it. So what did you think of the Meg? Comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all that, and I'll see you next time.